maybe Gabbert, the first baseman, could toss it to the plate in case the runner decides to come home.
Yeah, just an unfortunate error. This inning is really not what they were hoping for. Their last hope is just going to be coming back. Of course, they've got to take care of business here, get these last outs, and
Yes, and DeBrus, the hitter. Wilson's thinking about maybe getting that runner from second base home, making it a 4-run game, basically maybe blowing this game open. So at times the Knights' defense has been superlative. At other times they've made mistakes. Go back to the fourth inning. Stapley hit a 2-run homer. The Knights had a 3-run inning, and they took a 4-2 lead. And since then, Wilson has scored 5 unanswered runs. And now suddenly, Stapley's control has kind of deserted her.
Yeah, she needs to focus on keeping that ball down. It looks like the ump has called a few more low strikes than high strikes. Keep it down and looking for an easy out here somehow, some way.
I wonder if Stapley maybe is starting to get either frustrated or tired. Her control has deserted her, where she's bounced a few up there too.
Probably a little bit of both at this point, and that error probably didn't help her psyche at all.
Can't hit the strike zone there. Leadoff hitter Hornberger's on deck. Way over the head of DeBrus. First and second, 1 out. And here comes Hornberger, the center fielder. Second baseman for the Knights, Rigby, was playing in, now backs off. There's a bunt. No one to throw to at first base. The first baseman, Gabbert, had also come in, and boy, Stapley just fired down to first, assuming someone was going to be there.
Yeah, that was. I'm not sure what the first baseman was thinking there. That was an interesting play and would have been a big out for the Knights.
So that makes it 9-4?
8-4.
8-4 with a runner at third. Now first and third. So it's 8-4. Wilson's got a 4-run lead now. They have scored 3 here in the 7th inning. And they have runners at the corners and still just 1 out. Yeah, I'm not sure what Gabbert was thinking about. Obviously, she was thinking about maybe fielding that ball perhaps, but it was clearly going to be someone else who was going to grab the ball and throw to first base.
I wonder if Gabbert felt the
steal of second base by Hornberger.
My thought is she must have thought the second baseman was going to cover first, but it looked like the second baseman had gone to cover second, and there's just a miscommunication there. A huge error for the Knights.
Ball's popped up. They let it drop. They make the play. Throw down to home. And they get the runner at home.
Play.
So it is a double play to finish off Wilson in the 7th inning, but a big inning by Wilson. They score 3 times. And we'll go to the bottom of the 7th with Wilson on top here, 8-4. So the Knights come to hit here in the bottom of the 7th inning, trailing 8-4. Wilson on top. Knights need a big inning to try to make the comeback here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
And you can't be thinking about the runs. You just got to be thinking, all right, get on base, a walk, a hit, anything you can do to get this rally going.
Stapley, the hitter. She drills the ball to left field. Stapley hitting the ball very well the last few times. Had a 2-run homer last time up and drills that center single to left field to get on base. And Stapley, who came into the game hitting 167 on the season, really stroking the ball very good from the right side the last couple of times at bat.
Exactly, right on cue, just getting on base, giving her team a chance.
Terranova now the hitter. Well, Stapley's going to wind up pitching 7 innings, giving up at least as far as just total runs are concerned, 8 runs, as she will try to make her way to second base and does. Kind of a mixed bag at times, pitching very well, had some strikeouts, but also had problems with control, and at times her defense let her down.
Yeah, it really has been up and down all over for all of the Knights, really, in this game. But those walks have really done her in and really cost her a couple runs here that are crucial at this point in the game.
See if the Knights can make an unbelievable 7th inning comeback, trailing by 4. Have a runner at second base, nobody gone, and Terranova the hitter. Megan Potter, the starting pitcher, still out there for Wilson, trying to pick up her first win of the year because Wilson came into the game as a team 0-6 on the season. So the Phoenix are trying to grab their first win of the season. Hit to the outfield, right to the left fielder who makes the catch. And Stapley gets back in plenty of time to second base. So 1 out and a runner at second. And now Rigby will be the hitter for the Knights.
Number 5, Maddie Rigby.
Maddie Rigby, another freshman for the Knights, out of Idaho, Blackfoot, Idaho, 5'2". Knights down to 2 outs left in the 7th inning. Check swing, pop up to the first base, and now the Knights are down to their last out of the game. And Wilson starting to feel that victory in the offing, their first win of the 2017 season. They came in 0-6. Knights came in 1-9 on the season. 2 outs. And Ripley, or make that Stapley, the runner is at second base. And again, the Knights are down to their final out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Hilton the hitter. Hilton trying to stay alive with 2 outs. Megan Harmer, most likely the pitcher in game 2 for the Knights, is the on-deck hitter.
Tara's just looking for some good contact here, something she can square up, hopefully find a gap in the outfield, anything to get that runner home.
And the pitcher, Potter, trying to wrap up the victory. After 4 innings, she found herself down 4-2, but she's been able to keep Southern Virginia off the board since then. And she has pitched very well these last 3 innings after surrendering the lead to Southern Virginia, Seth, in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Yeah, her team really picked her up on the offensive side of the ball, finding some gaps, getting some runs home. Of course, the Knights did help them out a little bit. Not the greatest, most sound defense in that last half inning, but
swung on and missed, and Wilson has its first win of 2017 as the Phoenix will celebrate their first victory of this season. And the Knights drop to 1-10 on the season. Tough way to go here, Seth, in game 1 of this doubleheader. We'll have game 2 for you coming up in about 30 minutes or so. The Knights, again, had a 4-2 lead at the end of 4, but end up losing this game 8-4.
Yeah, it looked like they had the momentum. They had all the makings to grab their second victory of the year, and kind of just got away from them. Didn't have the most sound defense. A few walks really killed them, and not the way they wanted this one to end. But it's the good thing about a doubleheader, right? They get an opportunity to come right back and make some adjustments and get the victory in the second game. I'm sure that's what they're hoping for.
Had a few heroes in that first game. That first game loss of 8-4 to Wilson. Terry Hilton had with the inside the park homer. Megan Stapley had a big 2-run homer. Had pitched very well at times, and she also got some good defense at times from her outfielders, especially. But the Wilson Phoenix really picked up their offense in innings 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, there were good times. There was defense out in the outfield, throwing people out at home. A couple double plays that really proved to be big for Stapley, but not enough of them. There was too many plays that should have been routine that weren't, and it really cost them in the end, unfortunately.
So it's going to wrap up our first webcast today, the first game of this doubleheader. Don't forget, we've got a doubleheader coming up, a second game of the doubleheader coming up in about 30 minutes or so, so make sure you join us for game 2 of this doubleheader. But again, the score in the first game of our doubleheader today, it was Wilson, the Phoenix, winning it 8-4 over Southern Virginia as Wilson picks up its first win of the year. Wilson improves to 1-6. Knights drop to 1-10 on the season. Final score again, Wilson 8 and Southern Virginia University 4. Welcome back, everyone, to the fields at Southern Virginia University at Harvey-Dryden Field. I'm Jim Bresnahan. I'm joined by Seth Hansen, ready to bring you the second game of our doubleheader today between Wilson out of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, the Wilson Phoenix, and the Southern Virginia University Knights. It's the second game of a doubleheader. In the first game, Wilson was able to defeat Southern Virginia 8-4 to get their first win of the year, to improve to 1-6 on the year, while the Knights dropped to 1-10 on the season. And Seth, here in the second game of the doubleheader, in the nightcap, it'll be Megan Harmon pitching for the Knights as the Knights try to get a split in this doubleheader today.
Yeah, Megan has definitely been a bright spot for them as far as pitching goes. She's really reeled it in and found her groove these last few games. Their one win on the season came, and she had a complete game shutout, which was huge. Looking to repeat that performance today, and it should be a really good matchup right now.
That it looks like pretty much the same defensive rotation here for the Knights, as Tara Hilton will be in right field. Rachel Moore, the center fielder. Peyton is over in left field. And then we've got Gabbard at first base. At second base here for the Knights will be Madison Rigby. Michaela Johnson, the shortstop. Megan Harmon, again, pitching here for the Knights.
Down the third baseline.
And throw by the third baseman is wild down the right field line. And Hornberger will go over to second base. So the leadoff hitter for Wilson, Hornberger, able to get from first to second on the overthrow. The third baseman here for this second game for the Knights will be the same as in the first game, Alyssa Gastelum. And, of course, the catcher for the Knights will be, again, Heather Terranova. So a runner is at second base. Another bunt. Harmon picks it up, fires down to first, gets the first out of this first inning. So we've got a runner at third, and that is Hornberger, the leadoff hitter, with one out. Megan Harmon here trying to escape this first inning without allowing a run in. To do that, she's going to maybe need a strikeout or a pop-up on the infield here.
We saw in the last game the Knights infielders were really aggressive with runner on third. Ground balls generally mean they're trying to go home and try and get that tag out at home plate.
Coyle is now the hitter for Wilson. Wilson College Phoenix out of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. There's a called strike. Wilson again winning that first game 8-4. They trailed actually 4-2 after a Stapley two-run homer that gave the Knights a 4-2 lead in the fourth inning, but then Wilson was able to come up with 6 unanswered runs in the final 3 innings to gain the victory in that first game. Throw down to third, and the runner back easily.
Yeah, it was definitely a back and forth, up and down game in the first matchup of this doubleheader. Looked like the Knights had a good shot, good momentum going into the later innings, but just couldn't wrap it up. Had some defensive issues that really gave the Wilson Phoenix the lead.
Pop up down to second base. They get the runner at first. Nice play by Rigby. Madison Rigby making the play to hold the runner at third and get the second out at first base. And so now here is Sullenberger. Kayla Sullenberger, the hitter, with still Hornberger at third, and now 2 outs in the first inning. Harmon trying to work out of a first inning that had a runner at third with 1 out and gets a called strike there. Megan Harmon, earlier in the season, Seth, was running into control problems, but as you mentioned, last couple of starts, she's really been effective. That one's hit down to short and second base, and it goes past Rigby for a base hit, and the first run has scored here. Sullenberger driving that ball to second base. Rigby, if she handles it cleanly, probably gets Sullenberger at first base, and the Knights get out of that first inning, but instead it is Wilson scoring the first run of the game.
Yeah, it was a close play there for Rigby. Just hit the tip of her glove, couldn't reel it in, and Wilson capitalizes, earns that first run of the game.
And now it'll be Jenna Nabel coming to the plate. That's got kind of a mixed bag defensively in that first game. Some great plays by their outfielders, and then again at times the Knights ran into some defensive problems, mainly on the infield. They also had a couple of situations where they had fly balls hit on offense that were caught and resulted in double plays.
Yeah, a few of those double plays on the base pass, a couple line drives that looked like they could fall, and as the runners took a chance, it kind of hurt them in the long run, getting doubled up.
Megan Harmon low on that pitch. Megan, while at Perry McClure High School, games I saw her, mainly played first base, but really being relied upon from a pitching standpoint here at Southern Virginia University.
And you mentioned early in the season she had some control issues, really reeled it in the last few games. It's probably a combination, like you mentioned. She's used to playing first base. As well, she is a freshman playing at the collegiate level. She's asked to do a lot at her young age. But the more experience she gets, so that's a nice strike there on the outside corner. The more experience she gets, the more comfortable and confident she gets. She's going to be a huge piece of the puzzle here at Southern Virginia softball program.
Been able to lower her ERA heading into the game today, just under 6. That ERA has really been coming down. That ball is popped up to center field and deep. It's going to go all the way to the wall. Solenberger hustling around third. She will score the second run. And Nabel gets a double to right center. So it is 2-0 Wilson.
And it looked like off the crack of the bat that it was going to be a pop-up that
that ball just kept carrying.
Yeah, it just kind of carried. She kind of had some backspin on it, and it really just was hit to the right spot in the outfield, kind of in the gap, too far for anyone to grab it.
And now Allison Shockey comes to the plate with Nabel at second base, 2 outs. And Wilson has that one popped up to the right side, and Gabbert makes the catch, and that is the third out of the inning. Wilson starts off the first inning pretty quickly, though, scoring 2 runs. We'll go to the bottom of the first. It is Wilson 2, and the Knights are coming up in the bottom of the first inning. Welcome back to the Harvey Dryden Field. Jim Bresnahan along with Seth Hansen. We're going to the bottom of the first inning with the Knights trailing here 2-0, trying to get on the scoreboard in their bottom of the first inning after the Phoenix. So Wilson was able to score 2 runs. Quick check of other sports here. Seth, you were talking about the Southern Virginia baseball team scheduled to be on the road this weekend at York. Looks like that game's been doubleheader's been moved. Last night, of course, volleyball going down to Bristol to take on King of Tennessee, and ended up losing that in straight sets 3-0. against a very good King team that I believe is now 16-2 on the season. So the Knights volleyball team now drops to 17-5 on the season, still having a heck of a season. And kind of a rare weekend where we don't have lacrosse, men's or women's lacrosse in action this weekend.
Yeah, a little bit slower today as far as the sports go here at Southern Virginia. Bummer about the men's volleyball team, but like you said, still heck of a season. But better than they could have ever hoped for, I'm sure. So.
And they still have one more home match coming up on Wednesday, March the 22nd against James Madison. And unbelievably, that'll be their last home match of the year. Terry Hilton leading off the Knights' offense here in the bottom of the first after Wilson scored 2 in the top of the first. Hilton launches that ball to left field for a hit. And now we'll see if she gets the green light maybe to steal second base.
It was a good piece of hitting there. Kept her hands inside. Was able to level out in the swing zone, in that strike zone, and make good contact. Just enough contact, too. If she'd squared it up anymore, it probably would have gone right to the left fielder. So good piece of hitting there by Tara Hilton.
So here's Megan Harmon, and she bunts. Good bunt, but it rolled foul.
Just barely. Yeah, that was close.
If that had stayed fair, that would have been certainly bunting for a hit. We'll see if they give Hilton the go-ahead here and maybe do a straight steal, or if they have Megan bunting again. Solenberger's the pitcher, bunt right in front of the plate. They'll go to first base, get the out.
Oh, she dropped it.
Dropped the ball.
Looks like a dropped ball there, Jim. That's a huge break for the Knights in this first inning. 2 runners on and no outs. They definitely want to keep this going.
It was a new first baseman for the second game, Rachel Hilbish, the junior. And she was not the first baseman of the first game, so instead she gets to take over first base in this nightcap of the doubleheader and drops the ball. So the Knights have 2 on, nobody out. And we'll see if Southern Virginia can take advantage of another bunt. This time they get the out at first base as Gabbard is successfully able to bunt Harmon and Hilton over to second and third, with Hilton over at third, Harmon at second base, 1 out. And now the cleanup hitter, Michaela Johnson, comes to the plate. Michaela had a big drive down the left field foul line in for a double in game 1. Just getting it down the left field line for 2 bases. And the Knights could certainly use one of those hits here. Solenberger gets a called strike. Megan Potter was the winning pitcher for Wilson in the first game. Kayla Solenberger, the senior 5'8" from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, the starting game 2 pitcher. And Hilton got off of the base and the throw down and gets away from the third baseman. Hilton will try to score, and she's going to be nailed. The right fielder or the left fielder able to back up that play. Harmon goes from second to third. Hilton just perhaps ill-advised base running decision, especially when you consider the left fielder did a great job backing up that play.
Yeah, there was definitely some yelling over there for her to go and run. I don't know if that was the third base coach or who, but costly mistake there for the Knights. Good thing that Megan Harmon was able to move to third, so you still have a runner there, but really hurts that out happened at home.
And a little bouncer. Will they get the runner? No, they throw it away. Safe. And staying at first base will be Michaela Johnson, and Harmon scores to make it 2-1. That ball was so slowly hit, it was going to be a tough play for the Wilson infield defense, and they ended up throwing the ball away, and the Knights able to get a run here at the bottom of the first.
Good hustle there by Michaela Johnson, get down the line. Really paid off, put the pressure on them, and obviously there it resulted in a run.
And now coming to the plate is Megan Stapley. Megan had that big 2-run homer in the first game that allowed the Knights to go from a 2-2 tie to a 4-2 lead. But the Knights could not allow that 2-run lead to stand up, and they ended up losing that first game 8-4.
Stapley, she's certainly looking for a gap here. If she can get it between those center fielder and left fielder, they'd be able to get a chance to get that tying run home.
Hits the ball over to right field for a base hit. Michaela Johnson moves on over to third. Good hit by Stapley. She's having a great day at the bat.
Yeah, she's seeing the ball well today, squaring it up, and I think that play by Michaela Johnson right there, that could be huge right now in this early part of the ball game. She kept her head down and made it all the way to third. Now pass ball has a chance to score.
And it'll be Peyton coming to the plate. Melanie Peyton, the left fielder. First and third, 2 outs. Needless to say, the Hilton base running decision really might come back to haunt the Knights as far as a potential run lost, depending on what Peyton does here with first and third and 2 outs.
The key thing here, you got to put the ball in play. Even if it's not a hit, you got to force the defense to play fundamentally sound.
Grounded back to Sullenberger, and she throws over to first for the third out of the inning. Knights get a run. We'll go to the second inning. It is Wilson 2, Southern Virginia University 1. Jim Bresnahan and Seth Hansen back here at Harvey Dryden Field getting ready for inning number 2 as the Knights start the second inning, trailing 2-1. Wilson on top. They won the first game 8-4, leading 2-1 here in inning number 2. And the second baseman, Hilbrish, leads off for the Wilson Phoenix. Wilson came into this doubleheader 0-6 on the season, so they got their first win of the year in game number 1. Knights came in 1-9, now 1-10 on the season. Trying to pick up win number 2 on the season today in the second game of the doubleheader.
As we talked about, they're going to be relying heavily on Megan Harmon pitching this game, second half of the doubleheader. She's shown a lot of promise. They're really happy with the potential she's shown. I'm really looking forward to watching her put together a complete game today. Hopefully she can go a full 7 innings.
Hoping that she can avoid any problems with control. There have been games this year, so she's walked 5 or 6 hitters, and that's something the Knights were hoping to avoid today. Hilbrish will foul it off. Another foul by Hilbrish. Left-handed hitter, 5'2", out of Somerdale, Pennsylvania. She's a junior. Puts that ball to left center, and it gets by Rachel Moore. And Hilbrish will go on into second base, so she gets a double to lead off the second inning. And now it's going to be the right fielder coming to the plate for Wilson. That's Jennifer Patton.
It looked like Rachel Moore had a nice jump on the ball there, but something knocked I guess if the wind knocked it down or what it might have been, but unfortunately wasn't able to make the play.
It almost looked like it may have been tailing away from her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Called strike there on Patton. Hilbrish is at second. Nobody out here in the second inning, and the Knights trailing 2-1. Low pitch that time. Harmon is trying to get the Wilson right fielder. And that ball hit right back to Harmon. The runner will go from second over to third. First out of the inning. And Hilbrist makes her way over to third. Harmon checked her, but then quickly went over to first. If she had maybe double clutch, she might have been able to hang up that runner between second and third.
Really aggressive running by Wilson right there. I think Megan Harmon made the right play. You've got to get an out. You don't want something disastrous to happen to let this inning get away from you. But you're probably right. She might have been able to have her at third.
Now here comes DeBras, Lindsay DeBras for the Wilson Phoenix with a runner at third and one out in the second inning. Wilson scored 2 in the first. Knights came back with 1 in the first, and now Wilson trying to get their third run of the game home from third base. A couple of high pitches to DeBras, and again, DeBras is only 5'1".
Yeah, that probably would have been a strike for most of the batters in the Wilson lineup, but we've talked about that strike zone. It shrinks a bit for these shorter hitters.
Too low on that one. Hornberger, leadoff hitter, on deck. She's kind of been the table setter today for Wilson. Called strike on DeBras. Hilbrist, the runner at third, one out. Another called strike. Harmon trying to battle back and get a very important out here in the second inning.
And you see the third baseman, Alyssa Gastelum. She is charging pretty hard on the pitch. They're definitely looking for that bunt, that suicide squeeze, and try to get the out at home, it looks like.
That ball is hit by the third baseman and bobbled by Michaela Johnson, the shortstop, and the run scores to make it 3-1. And now DeBras is over at first with still just one out, and Hornberger will come to the plate. So Wilson really getting its offense going today in this doubleheader. They had scored just 5 runs in their first 6 games entering the doubleheader today. They got 8 runs in the first game and already 3 runs so far here in the second game.
The Knights haven't done themselves any favors. That right there needs to be an out. You've got to field that and make the routine play. Just bobbled. It may have to do with the temperature out here. We've talked about your hands get cold. They don't work as quick and fast as they normally do. They've got to figure something out to get these last 2 outs here.
High pitch to Hornberger, which isn't saying a whole lot because I think she's only 5'2". Right. That's tough to face DeBras and Hornberger back to back. DeBras 5'1" and Hornberger 5'2". Hornberger takes another ball.
Man, that was really close too. It's understandable some of those high strikes aren't going to be called, but for a shorter batter, you would think they might get that borderline low pitch, but the ump felt it was a little bit too low.
Runner first, one out. Popped up, and Gastelum nabs it for the second out. So the third baseman makes the play for the Knights, and now there are 2 out in the inning. And coming to the plate will be Dulcie Kump, 5'1" freshman from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Another smaller player at 5'1" for Megan Harmon to deal with. Kump is the second baseman. Harmon trying to get out of this top of the second inning with only allowing the 1 run. It's 3-1, Wilson on top. Saw this in the first game, especially in the early innings, Seth, where Wilson was taking a lot of pitches. Their hitters were.
Yeah, trying to be selective, make sure they're only swinging at good pitches. Harmon, she seems to be having a little more control than Stapley did in the last game, so I don't imagine they'll take too many. You've seen they've been able to square up the ball, though, so some live bats out here up at the fields.
Harmon trying to get the third out of the second inning. And she gets come to foul out or foul off to the right side. Coyle, the on-deck hitter for the Phoenix. 2 outs, runner at first. And there's the third out of the inning with the strikeout by Megan Harmon. We'll go to the bottom of the second inning. It is Wilson 3 and the Knights 1. Seth Hansen back ready to go here. Bottom of the second inning. Knights trailing 3-1. Rachel Moore leads off here. The bottom of the second for Southern Virginia. Sullenberger, the pitcher, starting pitcher here for the second game. Moore grounds to third. And quickly one gone here for the Knights in the bottom of the second. And now Alyssa Gastelum will be the hitter.
And first pitch swinging, it can be good, but it certainly can hurt you as well. One pitch, one out is never good for momentum on your side. You do want to swing at good pitches, and sometimes you feel like you need to, but it never hurts to take a few pitches and make that pitcher work out there a little bit.
And another first pitch swinging. Gastelum out barely at first base. It looked like she was going to get down there, but a good play by the shortstop coming over. That was, it looked like Slanky making the play for Wilson to come over after that ball got by the pitcher. Shockey made the play over to first base, and quickly 2 outs for the Knights.
And just like that,
Heather Terranova is the hitter.
And just like that, all that pressure is just off the pitcher right there, off Sullenberger. She doesn't have to worry about any base runners. She just got to find a way to get it out here. And
we haven't seen too many 1, 2, 3 innings today in either team, this doubleheader. But it looks like we might have one here. Unless Terranova can get on base.
that was a good eye there to take that. This is good. This is the kind of a bat you want. Now she'll be looking to drive something into the alley.
See if she's taking here. Maybe looking to get on via a walk. And she does get on with the walk. So Terranova's on first base. And now Hilton will come to the plate for the Knights with 2 outs and a runner at first. So I don't think we've had a 1, 2, 3 inning today by either team yet.
No, I don't think. I think you're right, Jim. I think there's been a base runner in every inning and made it for some exciting softball, that's for sure.
Knights lost the first game to Wilson 8-4. Trying to bounce back here in game 2 as Terry Hilton takes a strike. Megan Harmon is the out on deck hitter for the Knights. Hilton in that first game, in her first at bat, had an inside the park homer. And she drives that ball to short center field. It's going to find its way to the back of the infield for a base hit. So first and second, 2 outs. Knights trailing here by 2, and they've got Megan Harmon coming to the plate.
That was one of those plays again. Just kind of found the right spot in the infield, just right behind second base. Shortstop and second baseman weren't able to get there, so some more luck on the Knights side. And Megan Harmon, she singled in her first at bat, looking to do the same here and drive in a run.
And Tara Hilton with a hit keeps this inning alive for the Knights. So Hilton's the runner at first, Tara Nova at second, 2 outs, and Harmon the hitter. And swings over that one. Tara Nova doesn't have great speed at second base, so if we're talking a single to the outfield to get the runner home, it's going to have to be out into the outfield of some nature. And that ball hit right back to the pitcher, and that is a third out of the inning. So the Knights got 2 base runners, but no runs, and we'll go to the top of the third with Wilson on top here, 3-1. Wilson ready to go here in the top of the third inning with the Wilson Phoenix on top of Southern Virginia, 3-1. Hitting here for Wilson is Jennifer Coyle facing Megan Harmon. Wilson on top 3-1. They won the first game 8-4. Wilson's going for the doubleheader sweep. The Knights trying to win the second game to get their second win of the year. Well, the Knights have got some offense today, and Stapley looked pretty good pitching the ball at times in the first game, as does Harmon here in the second game. So some bright spots today, but on the flip side, Wilson winning that first game 8-4, ahead here 3-1. They came in 0-6 on the season, and they're looking to get out of here with a doubleheader sweep.
Yeah, you mentioned Harmon looks pretty good here. It's good to see that she's got control. She's hitting the strike zone. Just the bad news is Wilson's been able to strike there. Wilson has been able to square the ball up and find some gaps, and they've produced some runs here. But you certainly would rather see your pitcher hitting the strike zone, letting the ball be put in play, than giving them walks and just doing all the work for them.
Harmon trying to get Coyle out to begin the third inning. And the Knights are scheduled to hit the road in softball in the coming week, but that may be dependent on whether we get any snow in the region over the next few days. That pitch is inside and ball 4. A couple of years ago, with all the snow we got 2 years ago in February and March, a lot of the spring sports, even lacrosse, in addition to softball and baseball, saw cancellations. That has not been a problem so far here in the spring sports season for the spring sports like lacrosse, softball, and baseball.
Definitely some chilly weather on the horizon, though, including today. But it is beautiful out here. beautiful Buena Vista, Virginia. Enjoying the sun, which is nice. We had a few stretches there where it was just rain and cloud every day, so I am enjoying the sunshine. I just wish it would bring a little more heat for this spring break time of year.
Didn't like those 60 and 70 degree days we had back in February?
I mean, I loved I loved those. I just wish they would have hung around a little longer.
Yeah.
It would have been nice.
So Wilson's got a runner at first. Nobody out here in the third inning. And Kayla Solenberger is the hitter. Also, she's the Game 2 starting pitcher here for Wilson.
It looks like Megan Harmon, she's trying to pitch kind of away from the batters here. She realizes she's giving up some hits, and it's kind of causing some of these balls right there, still not hitting the outside corner. You've got to find that happy medium. She needs to find the strike zone. We don't want to put another person on and move that runner to second.
Yeah, 3-1. You don't want to like walk the bases loaded and start giving up 2 or 3 runs at a clump, because that would really put the Knights in the hole here. And suddenly, Solenberger is in position maybe to grab a walk. With Nabel on deck. And Nabel's had some big hits today for the Wilson Phoenix. There's ball 4, low. So the first 2 hitters have reached here in the third inning. And you wonder if maybe Courtney Hall, the softball coach for the Knights, might come out and another ball here or two. Seth, maybe start just to give maybe Megan Harmon a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Jim. This might be a time where Coach Hall thinks about trying to settle Megan down, let her know that it's okay to hit the strike zone. Again, they're a little low and outside.
Yep.
You see it. Her pitches are a little more off speed. They haven't been as had as much heat behind them, I should say. Again, trying to stay away from the batters. It's a good one.
Nabel takes a call strike there.
That's really what you want to see. You want to see it on the inside. You got to give them something to hit. You can produce a double play, a pop up in the infield, anything like that would be huge for Megan Harmon and the Knights right now.
1-1 count on Nabel. 2 runners on, nobody out. And Nabel drives that ball down the right field line foul. And now 2 strikes on her. She's a senior out of Clear Spring, Maryland.
Wilson hasn't swung at too many bad pitches. They've been very disciplined at the plate today, which again puts pressure on Megan Harmon to produce those close pitches.
Ball hit to the left side. Michaela Johnson not able to make the play as the base runner, the hitter, was able to beat that one out, and suddenly bases are loaded with nobody out.
And you see the shortstop, Michaela Johnson. She fielded it pretty nicely. She's playing so deep, though. She's playing pretty close to that edge of the outfield there. It just makes it so hard to grab the ball and get the runner in time. I don't know if that's an adjustment Coach Hall will make, but that's just kind of the observation I'm kind of seeing right now.
Allison Shockey is the hitter. Bases loaded, nobody out, and now you can ill afford a walk. And there's ball 1. It's 3-1, Wilson on top, and suddenly the Phoenix are hoping for a big third inning, maybe to break this game open early. Megan Harmon hoping for a strikeout, maybe a double play ball. Ball hit on the ground, passed into left field. 1 run is in. All the runners will hold up. Bases are loaded still. And it's 4-1. So Shockey with a base hit to left field, and now it'll be Rachel Hilbrish, the first baseman, coming to the plate. And now they're going to have a little conference on the mound as the Knights trail at 4-1. Bases loaded, nobody out. And this is a chance for Wilson, I don't know if to break the game open per se, but certainly to put some space between them and the Knights here in game number 2.
Yeah, I don't think breaking the game open is too far-fetched at this point. Got bases loaded, and again, Harmon, she's hitting the strike zone. She has walked a couple people, but most of the damage has been Wilson being able to hit the ball and find some holes in the defense. Really needs a strikeout or an infield pop-up here would be huge.
So Hilbrish comes to the plate, lefty hitter. I would imagine with bases loaded, a lot of the Wilson hitters would take as many pitches as possible till they get that first strike. And there's ball 2. The right fielder, Patton, is the on-deck hitter. See if Hilbers takes another pitch. Takes a called strike, so it's 2-1 now. We'll see if Hilbers offers at this pitch. Low, 3-1. And now Megan is within a ball of walking home a run.
Yeah, and I imagine the batter will be looking to take here again.
Fouled off, 3-2. This is a huge pitch coming up here, Seth, for Megan Harmon and the Knights. With a 3-2 count, bases loaded, still nobody out in the third inning.
Just looking for something close here.
Fouled that one off, just barely got a piece of it. Megan Harmon, the Game 2 starting pitcher, trying to record the first out of the third inning. Grounded softly. Michaela Johnson will come to the plate, but it's safe. Base runner just got there in time to make it 5-1. The bases are still loaded with nobody out.
You see that coming into play again. The shortstop playing so deep makes it tough to throw that runner out at home, especially on a ground ball. You're taught anything on the ground, you're taking off, and just proved to be a half a step behind.
And the Knights are in danger here of letting this game get away from him. It's 5-1 now here in the third inning with bases loaded and still no one out. And Patton coming to the plate, followed by the 5'1" DeBras and the 5'2" Hornberger. Coach Hall out there trying to settle her team down, settle Megan Harmon down, and get some outs here in the third inning. Knights came into this doubleheader with high hopes of maybe picking up wins 2 and 3 on the season, but Wilson won the first game 8-4 and lead here 5-1 in game number 2. Patton takes a called strike.
Yeah, and you're looking for an out here. You've got to play fundamentally sound, get the out so you can kind of get through this inning a little bit. Don't be a hero. You don't have to make the amazing play. Just get your outs. That's the only way you're going to get back into this game.
1-1 pitch coming up from Megan Harmon to Patton, the right fielder. Now it's 2-1. Megan almost has to come in with this pitch, otherwise she'll be facing a 3-1 count. And it's going to be low. 3-1. In danger of forcing home a run with a walk. That pitch hit into the outfield for a base hit. I think that's all going to be station to station as the ball is returned in. A single drives home just one run to make it 6-1, but the bases remain loaded and still no one out as the Knights are still searching to record that first out here in the third inning. And now DeBras will come to the plate. (6-1) Wilson on top. Wilson has scored 3 runs here in the top of the third inning, and the Knights have yet to get that first out. Good play by Terranova to block that one from going to the backstop. That one is high. Didn't take much to go high on that pitch over a 5'1" player. So now it's 2-1. And Megan Harmon really has to settle down here, Seth, or this game's going to get away from Southern Virginia.
Yeah, you can tell she's a little frustrated out there. Never want to have this kind of inning, but needs to refocus and dial it in to start getting these outs.
Off the glove of Harmon, and it's picked up by Rigby, and she was able to get one runner. The other runner will score, and another run will score. 2 runs are going to come in. Now, Rigby did tag out one of the runners, going from first to second.
Yeah, that's interesting that they didn't call her out right there.
I don't think she dropped the ball.
No, I am not sure why she would be safe. Like you said, she didn't drop the ball. I don't think, anyway.
Tagged her.
Yeah, they pretty much collided, and but she had the ball with her and made a tag.
Then threw to first, and the throw got away, and
Yeah.
a couple of runners scored. So it is 8-1 now, I believe. And they do signal that the runner at second is off the field, out. Although the Wilson coaches are still trying to talk over to the umpires. Didn't matter, obviously, whether it was a force or not, and it was a force, but they made the tag. So with the out at second base, the other 2 runners scoring, it should be 1 out and a runner at first, and an 8-1 ball game.
Yeah, it looks like he's heading back to the dugout. Yeah, I don't know how you could dispute unless the Wilson coach is saying she never actually made a tag, but that they just collided. I thought
that's possible. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty clear. From our angle, it looked like she definitely made a tag after they ran into each other, but and it looks like the umps got that one correct. But yeah.
Now it's 8-1 here, and there's still just 1 out of the inning with a runner at first base, and Hornberger is now the hitter. And she bunts. Let's see if they can get her. Nope. First and second. That was a great bunt.
And Wilson is definitely taking advantage. Obviously, we know Hornberger, she runs really well. She's quick out of the box. Softball does have shorter baselines than in baseball, so in softball you see the bunt come into play quite a bit more often because of plays just like that. She's just too quick to be able to throw her out at first.
So it's first and second, 1 out. Good speed on the base paths here for Wilson with DeBras at second and Hornberger at first. Kump is the hitter. 8-1 game now. Southern Virginia has given up 5 runs here in this 3rd inning. 1 out. And the Knights are looking to get out of this inning without any further damage. She bunts. Great bunt. They throw down and get the runner. So the other runners move up now, 2 outs and second and third, and Coyle will come to the plate. Coyle, a good hitter. 2 runners in scoring position, but also 2 outs now in this 3rd inning. Been a tough inning, Seth, for Megan Harmon, but she's an out away from getting out of the inning, even though the Knights have surrendered 5 runs in this 3rd inning.
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been rough. Hopefully they can get this last out here and start chipping away at that lead on offense.
That's also in danger with 1 more run of going to that 8-run rule, where if you're trailing by 8 after 5 innings, game's over.
Yeah, certainly not what the Knights are hoping for here. They'd love to keep it at 7 at the moment, and then in there the next half of the inning, start chipping away, start putting some runs on the board. But it's definitely going to take a lot of work, a lot of team effort to be able to make that happen.
It's got 4 runs in the first game, but were shut out in the final 3 innings in that first game. Second and third, 2 outs. Coyle the hitter. Called strike. And suddenly, at least her last few pitches, looks like Megan Harmon maybe has her control starting to come back. Harmon trying to get the third out. And Coyle with 2 runners on base trying to drive something into the outfield to get 2 more runs home.
Ooh.
Close. Yeah.
That was a close pitch right there. I feel like we've seen that be called a strike earlier in this game, but
I guess they're going to decide that was low.
yeah, it certainly was low, but it was very close.
And that one gets away, and it's going to result in a run. Now 9-1. And the other runner from second base moves up, so 2 outs, runner at third, and Wilson has now scored 6 runs in this third inning. Coyle with the third strike is out, and that is it for Wilson in the third inning, but they get 6 runs, and as we go to the bottom of the third inning, it is the Phoenix 9 and Southern Virginia 1. Jim Bresnahan, Seth Hansen again back. Dryden Field at Southern Virginia University as we go to the bottom of the third inning. Wilson on top here, leading Southern Virginia 9-1. Wilson won the first game 8-4. Knights will try to mount a comeback here in the bottom of the third inning after the Knights surrendered 6 runs in the third inning. And right off the bat, the opening hitter taking a swing at the first pitch, and Molly Gabbard, easy dribble out, and that's the first out. So the Knights are really doing a lot of swinging at the first pitch, Seth, and as a result, they're not really looking at a lot of pitches.
Yeah, 1 pitch, 1 out right now has kind of been their worst enemy. As weird as it is, being down as much as they are, 8 runs, you kind of want to be patient up at the plate. You got to be patient in your at-bats. There's another pitch.
And Michaela Johnson is quickly out.
Just like that.
We might actually have our first 1-2-3 inning of this doubleheader, which we've not seen yet.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand as a hitter, you want to look and you want to hit a good pitch, and you feel like it's there, but there's something to be said for making the pitcher work, which she hasn't had to work too much, so she's able to stay loose, stay fresh, and it's really hurt the Knights today.
And so it'll be coming to the plate now, Megan Stapley, who had a homer in that first game. At one point in that first game, in the 4th inning, the Knights got a 3-run inning, a homer by Stapley, a 2-run homer. They actually took a 4-2 lead going into the 5th inning of that first game. And since then, it's been all downhill since the Knights led 4-2. They were beaten in that first game 8-4. So by my count, since that 4-2 lead, they've given up 15 runs and scored 1. It's been a tough hoe as far as the efforts go by Wilson. They just totally turned their doubleheader around. They were trailing 4-2 in the 5th inning, and then, wow, out of nowhere, their offense just started to come alive, Seth.
Yeah, you commend Wilson for their resiliency. The ball is outside right there. A lot of teams going down, giving up a huge home run. I think that was a big pivotal point in the game.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of teams will kind of settle back in, lose their confidence, but Wilson came back swinging hard and really finding their bats.
That was a tough road to hoe. Like I say, they were trailing 4-2, and then got all those runs to come behind and win 8-4, and then here it was a tight game, 3-1 in the 3rd inning, and then they had that big 6-run inning in the top of the 3rd.
Well, that win in the first game of this doubleheader, I'm sure took a lot of pressure off them as it slapped to first.
And there is that 1-2-3 inning, easy inning defensively for the Wilson Phoenix. We'll go to the 4th inning. It is 9-1, Wilson on top. Welcome back here to Southern Virginia University, starting the 4th inning, and Wilson holding on to a big 9-1 lead here in game number 2 against Southern Virginia. Wilson won the first game, 8-4. Wilson out of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, the Phoenix of Wilson College. Megan Harmon, the starting pitcher in this second game for the Knights, has battled with control problems at times. Surrendered 6 runs in that 3rd inning and tried to start this 4th off in better fashion.
Yeah, and control problems, like you mentioned, as well as the defense hasn't been perfect in this game. It's really a combination of those two things that have really led to that big inning that Wilson had in the last inning.
Yeah, it's not like Wilson's had any big doubles, triples, or homers. They've just, with the walks and the defensive breakdowns at times by the Knights, minor breakdowns, it's just been Wilson able to really piece together their offense.
Yeah, they had in that 6-run inning they had last outing, I think they had like 3 bunts in a row. 2 of them got on safe, and they're just kind of chipping away. That's kind of their game here. Not a big power team, but it's working for them so far.
That ball hit down the left field line and foul by Sullenberger. Game 2 starting pitcher and the cleanup hitter. And that ball is driven to the gap, to the right center field wall, and Sullenberger makes it easily into second base for a stand-up double.
Yeah, she squared that one up pretty good. Nothing you can do as an outfielder there. Just try and corral the ball and get it back in as fast as you can. I don't know what it is. Something about, I guess, the way Megan Harmon delivers the ball, but Wilson has seen it really well coming out of her hand, and they're just really able to square it up right now. They haven't had a.
And I'm pretty sure Sullenberger, her last time up, went to right center field too.
Yeah, she's definitely a strong bat for them. It's been interesting. It's not how they envisioned it going. Definitely, coach has got to be upset with how things have played out so far today.
They'll sub out a runner for her at second base. Lily Rembold, or make that Borquin actually is going to be the sub runner, pinch runner. So runner at second base. Nobody out here in the fourth inning. 9-1 Wilson on top. And Abel, who's also had a big day offensively, steps to the plate. Harmon, after getting the called strike, 0-1 count on Nabel. Floats that one up there for a ball. Well, Wilson came in today 0-6 on the season. They had scored just 5 runs in their first 6 games, but they've been able to break loose today. 17 runs so far. That ball hit the Hilton, makes the catch. Along the right field line, gets the ball back in, so no advancement by the runner at second base. 5 runs in 6 games, Seth, but 8 runs in the first game for Wilson and 9 so far here in game number 2.
Yeah, they've been live, that's for sure. They've been aggressive with swinging the bat. They've been aggressive on the bases, aggressive with their bunting. They came in determined to put some runs on the board, and they certainly have done that.
Called strike there. Allison Shockey is the hitter. Shortstop for the Wilson Phoenix. 1 out, runner at second. That one a little high. And that pitch low and inside. Good to see a few people out here watching this game on a Saturday afternoon, even though we've got temperatures that are probably barely into the low 40s. Fouled off down the right side. Megan Harmon here, Seth, is trying to pitch her first inning without allowing a run.
She's made, that one's high and outside. She's made a few good pitches here where they're not obvious balls. They're kind of on the border. Wilson has just been really disciplined at the plate, which is, it's been huge for him. If they had been aggressive and swinging in this game, probably would have looked a lot different because Megan has made some of those borderline pitches.
And Shockey that time just protecting the plate with 2 strikes. Runner at second, and 1 out here in the top of the 4th. 9-1, Wilson on top, and another foul back. That ball popped up, and it's pulled down by the second baseman as Rigby makes the play. Now 2 outs with a runner at second.
That was a good athletic play there. It's not easy for the second baseman to get over and kind of get some depth into the outfield and track that ball the whole way. But good athleticism there by Maddie Rigby.
And it looks like Wilson is subbing a little bit here in game number 2 with the big 8-run lead as they're going to go to a pinch hitter here. Taylor Mummert, freshman outfielder from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, will be, looks like, taking the place of Hilbrish. Hilbrish was the starting first baseman today in game 2. Wilson's gotten some good pitching today, too. In the first game, it was Megan Potter who gave up the 3-run inning to the Knights in the 4th inning, but they didn't surrender any more runs in the 5th, 6th, or 7th inning. That ball fouled down the right field line. And then in this game, Sullenberger has limited the runs to just 1 for the Knights. Harmon trying to get through an inning for the first time today without allowing any earned runs. There's a called strike.
Nice pitch on the outside there.
Couple of balls in a row, one high, one low. Harmon trying to get that third out of the fourth inning. Popped up. Rigby there. Second baseman puts it away. That is the third out of the fourth inning for Wilson. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth, and the Knights trail here at 9-1. Jim Bresnahan, Seth Hansen back here at Harvey Dryden Field at Southern Virginia University. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Wilson on top here, 9-1. Wilson won the first game between these two teams, 8-4, leading 9-1 here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And as you look around the field at the Wilson defense, it looks like Wilson has made several substitutions with this big 8-run lead in the bottom of the fourth inning in game number 2, Seth.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach over there is trying to get some of his younger players in, get them some experience in a big lead like this. You can't substitute experience for anything, really, so he's taking advantage of the opportunity.
Although Sullenberger, the game 2 starting pitcher, still out there firing. Leading 9-1 in the bottom of the fourth inning. Knights right now just trying to get some hits and some runs to try to extend this game beyond the fifth inning. Otherwise, the 8-run rule would end this game after 5 innings.
A change from the last couple innings. Haven't been swinging at these first pitches. At least this batter's not. It's good to make the pitcher work, put a little pressure on her.
That pitch is high. Melanie Payton, the hitter. Grounded to short, and the throw over, and quickly one gone.
That was a nice play there by the shortstop. Allison Shockey, I believe her name is, just took that kind of a weird hop, kind of at the belly button area, grabbed it, and was able to make that fire down to first and get the out.
So 1 out. Looks like the Knights are going to sub here, Seth, for Rachel Moore. Is this Aubrey Jorgensen coming to the plate?
I think so.
Aubrey is a sophomore, 5'8", from Saratoga Springs, Utah. Looks like she'll replace Rachel Moore in the batting lineup here.
Number 22, Aubrey Jorgensen.
So Jorgensen replaces Rachel Moore. There's 1 out for Southern Virginia here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Again, I believe the Knights are scheduled to be on the road Tuesday, and maybe a few other dates coming up in the next week or so, but obviously that'll be dependent on if we get any winter weather over the next 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah, some snow in the forecast could ruin some of the plans for these athletic programs.
Swung on a miss there. We mentioned lacrosse not playing at all this weekend. Rare Saturday off for both men's and women's lacrosse. Men's lacrosse will have a home game against Hampden Sydney on Wednesday, whereas the women will be headed to Hilton Head, South Carolina for games, I believe, Wednesday and Thursday. And so while the men will be at home Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoon playing in 20 and 30 degree temperatures, the women will be at Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Yeah, they're probably not going to have any weather issues down in South Carolina this coming week.
And Jorgensen taps the ball. Tough play. Third baseman throws over, and good play by the Wilson defense. You mentioned the shortstop making the play on that first hit ball, and then on that last play, it was Kristen Hoffman, the third baseman, coming over and making the play.
Yeah, it's kind of an opposite of what you've seen with Southern Virginia. Wilson just playing fundamental D and making clean throws, grounding the ball cleanly. It's really been helping out their pitcher.
And so 2 are gone here for the Knights in the 4th inning. And Gastelum now the hitter. 2 outs and nobody on. Knights trailing by 8 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Rip to shortstop. Throw over, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Another good play there by Shockey, the shortstop for Wilson. We'll go to the 5th inning. It is Wilson leading here 9-1. Wilson coming to the plate here in the top of the 5th inning in a 9-1 game. And it looks like the right fielder, Ashley Horn, who just came into the game playing in right field, will lead off for Wilson here in the top of the 5th inning. Wilson won the first game 8-4 after they trailed 4-2 after the end of 4 innings. Came back with some big runs in the 5th, 6th, and 7th and shut out the Knights for an 8-4 victory. And then in this game, Seth, it's just been all Wilson from the get-go. They led at the end of 2, 3-1, and then blew it open in the top of the 3rd inning. And right now lead 9-1 here in the top of the 5th inning.
Wilson's had the momentum for the whole game blown open really by that 6-run inning in the third, and they just haven't looked back ever since.
Horn dribbles the ball back to Harmon, and Harmon quickly gets the first out of the 5th inning. So one gone for the Phoenix of Wilson College here in the 5th inning.
And I think it's important that Harmon finishes strong here as her confidence comes into play going forward for the rest of the season. They need her to get a quick 1-2-3 inning, something to build upon as they move forward.
Another substitution, another pinch hitter coming up. Looks like it's going to be number 21, Amanda Haas, 5'5" junior out of Culpeper, Virginia. So Wilson's coach, Brett Klein, able to work in some of the second-string players right now in this last few innings of the second game of this doubleheader to get them some playing time. Some at-bats and some time in the field.
Hopefully with some of these more inexperienced players playing for Wilson coming up, it'll be an opportunity for the Knights to work on fundamentals and make it a quick inning.
Knights were so hopeful of getting that win in the first game today. They actually, again, led 4-2 after a Stapley home run. Going into the top of the 5th set, they had a 4-2 lead, 9 outs away from victory. They just could not hold on.
That's really been the turning point for both games almost. That was a big momentum shift that the Knights just never recovered from, and it's obviously carried over into this game.
Knights actually give them a run in the 5th inning, and actually, I believe, if I remember correctly, took a 4-3 lead in the 6th inning. So they were just out 6 outs away, and that's when Wilson was able to get some runs in the 6th and 7th innings to hold off the Knights in that first game 8-4. And it just seems like that momentum is really carried over for Wilson here in game number 2.
Yeah, and of course that's what we're talking about. Something that's really been tough for them to recover from.
Strikeout there for Megan Harmon, 2 gone. And now Taylor Giles, another backup player for Wilson, will come to the plate. 5'6" sophomore out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Carlisle, Pennsylvania, not that far away from Chambersburg, where Wilson is residing. Wilson College. Brett Klein, the head softball coach for Wilson. He's in his 17th season there. Megan Harmon looking for a 1-2-3 inning, I believe, for the first time today, if she can get this hitter. That ball hit to left field, and it's ruled a foul ball. Peyton almost got there to make that catch for the 3rd out.
Yeah, she had a jump on it, but proved to be a little just outside of her reach. Luckily for the Knights, landed foul.
Harmon trying to get Taylor Giles for the 3rd out of the 5th inning. Strike 3. That's the 3rd out of the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. With the Knights trailing 9-1, they'll have to score to keep this game going beyond 5 innings. 9-1 Wilson on top. Jim Bresnahan, Seth Hansen back here at the fields at Southern Virginia University at Harvey Dryden Field. Softball action today. Again, to recap, Wilson won the first game against Southern Virginia 8-4, and Wilson leads here 9-1, bottom of the fifth inning. And Seth, if the Knights don't score any runs here, that 8-run rule will kick in, and this game will be over at the end of this inning.
Yep, down to their last 3 outs of sorts to really make an impact on the game. I expect them to come out swinging, though. Not going to lay down and just give this one up. They're going to fight till the end.
And Terranova dribbles the ball down to third. Throw over, and it's the first out of the inning. Good play made by the third baseman, Kristen Hoffman. In fact, Hoffman, the third baseman, and Shockey, the shortstop, have been making some nice plays defensively for Wilson the last few innings.
Yeah, definitely been a staple for them on that side of the infield. Not only good feet, keeping their base where it should be, but good arms, too, to get there to beat the runner.
And Tara Hilton is now the hitter for the Knights. Her highlight today in the very first inning, her first at-bat of the day, in the first game of that doubleheader, she had an inside-the-park home run by driving the ball down the right field line. It got away from the right fielder, and she went all the way around the bases for a homer. And she punches that one foul down the right field line.
And just to highlight her play even more, the next half inning, I believe it was where she had that nice throw from the outfield to gun down the runner at home plate to keep it a tie game at that point.
Sullenberger, the starting pitcher for Game 2 for Wilson, trying to pick up her first win of the year. Wilson came into the game today, 0-6 on the season. Won the first game, trying for a doubleheader sweep. Megan Harmon is the on-deck hitter. Hilton punches it right back to Sullenberger for the second out. So if the Knights want to extend this game beyond the fifth inning, Megan Harmon will have to get something started. They'll need a 2-out rally to get a release to run.
Megan's been on base a couple times this game so far. Hopefully she'll have the same kind of result with this at bat.
Gabbard is the on-deck hitter. And Sullenberger trying to get Harmon out to lock down this doubleheader sweep for the Wilson College Phoenix out of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And Megan Harmon draws a walk. So 2 outs, Harmon at first, and now Gabbert will come to the plate.
Number 2, Molly Gabbert.
Michaela Johnson, now the on-deck hitter. Gabbert looking for a big hit to extend this game. Called strike.
Yeah, Gabbert's got to be looking for a gap here. Megan, pretty good athlete. A gapper here should score that run.
Pitch it to third base. Throw over. And this game is over. 8-run rule kicks in, and Wilson wins the second game 9-1. So a doubleheader sweep here, Seth, for the Wilson College Phoenix out of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. They win the first game 8-4, win the second game 9-1, and as a result, they improved to 2-6 on the season, and the Knights now drop to 1-11. A tough doubleheader sweep at the hands of the Wilson College Phoenix.
Yeah, it almost felt like that first game really took the wind out of their sails. They had the lead, dropped it late in the game, They just never really recovered from that emotional type of impact that they took. Coach is going to have them ready for the games coming this week, and hopefully they'll be able to bounce back and play with a little more fire going forward.
I mean, the positives today, Terry Hilton had a good game. The outfielders I thought Southern Virginia for the most part played very good defensively. Stapley had the big home run for the Knights in the first game and pitched pretty well in that first game until the Wilson offense really came alive in the final few innings. And despite some control problems, Megan Harmon hung in there in the second game. The Knights just never could manufacture any offense in game number 2, and they just couldn't hold on to that 4-2 lead they had in game number 1.
Right, and I think Megan Stapley pitched well in the first game for most of the game, which is, she's shown that potential. She's shown that she can hit the strike zone and produce those outs. Kind of got away from her, though, at the end of the game. But, I mean, these 2 games, this doubleheader shows them some things they can work on, some of those fundamentals in the infield, and just trying to see more pitches up at the plate. Too many first swing on the first pitch of the at-bats. 1 pitch, 1 outs, just really kill you in the long run. So taking some pitches, forcing some more walks, and getting more base runners will help them going forward.
And that's going to wrap things up here from Southern Virginia University. To recap once again, Wilson College sweeps the doubleheader today. Wilson in the first game 8-4, and Wilson defeating Southern Virginia here at softball in game number 2, 9-1. I'm Jim Bresnahan for Seth Hansen, Josh Adams, and all of our production staff here at Southern Virginia University. Thanks again for joining us, everyone, for this softball doubleheader.